Shalom. I hope you're having a wonderful summer. When are words a blessing? And when are they a curse? This is a question I want to raise with you today. In our portion, Balak, the pagan prophet Balaam, offers words that have been understood differently throughout Jewish history. It reads as follows: Hein am levadad yishkon. There is a people that dwells apart. Uvagoyim lo yitchashav. A people that is not reckoned among the nations. Are these words a blessing? Is it a blessing to be alone, to be apart, to be other? Or is it a curse? The Baal Shem Tov, the founder of modern Hasidism, thought that the blessing here was to live apart and live within enmity of your neighbors. That is to say, their hatred would keep us separate and apart, and assimilation wouldn't be a problem. It's interesting that those who were opposed to modern Zionism and the ultra-Orthodox camp often point to this exact verse, saying that if Israel were to become a nation, a political entity, then we would assimilate and be lost amongst the other nations. The first half of the 20th century shows what a curse these words can be. Jews were seen as other. They were seen as being something less than human. And as a result, they could be numbered, cataloged, warehoused, and slaughtered at will. And the world did so very little, because again, Jews were seen as other, as something different, as a nation that dwelled alone. The second half of the 20th century tells a very different story. We see these words becoming a blessing. When Jews were gathered in the land of Israel, the world could see the blessing that the Jewish people represented, whether it was in the field of medical study or agriculture, or today in the realm of computers. The Jewish people have become a blessing almost precisely because we have been allowed to become our own nation and dwell alone, dwell apart. This past Monday, we celebrated July 4th. I well remember now 35 years ago when our nation was celebrating its bicentennial, July 4th, 1976, that a raid took place on Entebbe. You recall that an Air France airliner had been hijacked with 248 passengers and taken to Entebbe in Uganda. The passengers were taken off the plane in a hijacking that was planned by Yasser Arafat and the Palestinian Liberation Organization. The passengers were separated. The Jews were kept in one place, the non-Jews in another. The State of Israel planned in just a short amount of time one of the most daring and successful raids ever recorded. And with a few exceptions, a woman in her 70s by the name of Dora Blanc and Yoni Netanyahu, almost all of the hostages survived. On that day, the Jewish people learned that now that we had our own state, now that we were separate and could create our own army, the Jewish people would no longer have to live in fear, whether in the land of Israel or beyond. We might be a nation that dwells alone, apart, but we also are a nation that together can now protect itself within the world. Jewish history has shown the words of Balaam at times to be a blessing and at times to be a curse. How fortunate we are to live in a time when the words of Balaam, the pagan prophet, are truly a blessing, now that we have the state of Israel, a Jewish state, in our time. Shabbat Shalom.
שירו לדושם שיהיה חודש, שירו לדושם כל הארץ, שירו לדושם ברכו שמו, בסרו מיום ליום ישועתו, שבתו